Hearing Jiang Shiyan's invitation to soak in the water to heal his wounds, Yichuan stripped off his clothes and stepped shirtless into the cool water. However, as soon as he had settled in, Jiang Shiyan suddenly glanced over and noticed something unusual on his body. She moved closer, gently reaching out to touch a purple bruise on Yichuan's chest, and asked worriedly, "These wounds look very fresh. Did you encounter some danger last night?" Feeling embarrassed by the sudden intimacy, Yichuan hurriedly backed away, crouching lower into the water to hide himself. He made an excuse. "I was just careless and got hurt. Please, you don't need to worry so much." Noticing his shyness, she did not approach any further but stood at a distance to express her gratitude for the previous event. "If you hadn't been there, I fear the Thunder Lion Alliance would have stolen the Firewind Fox Ape hide." Hearing those formal words, Yichuan only silently exhaled water bubbles, thinking to himself, "If you truly want to thank me, it's best if you stay a little further away from me." To dispel the somber atmosphere, she suddenly pointed to the items placed on a wooden tray and said, "Open them and take a look. They will help make your cultivation here much more effective." Yichuan curiously picked up a small box. When he opened the lid, he saw a mystical, jet-black spiritual pill inside. Seeing his skeptical expression, Jiang Shiyan kindly introduced it. "Just consume it, and your body will become much stronger, faster, and more courageous." However, Yichuan held the pill in his hand with a belly full of doubt. He wondered, what is this? The sales pitch sounds exactly like the descriptions for pig aphrodisiacs. As if reading his thoughts, Jiang Shiyan playfully stuck her tongue out to reassure him. "Just eat it, and you'll find out soon enough." Trusting her, Yichuan put the pill in his mouth and chewed slowly, assessing. It tastes like chocolate, actually quite delicious. But that culinary joy didn't last long. His pupils suddenly contracted, and his whole body jolted in shock as he felt a transformation within. A powerful surge of energy erupted from Yichuan, causing the pool water to splash violently. Jiang Shiyan, standing nearby, had to squint and lean away to avoid the spray, while Yichuan himself still didn't understand what was happening. While Yichuan was still dazed, Jiang Shiyan's eyes widened. She hadn't expected the effect of the medicine to be this massive. Then she explained. "This is the Vajra pill, refined by the top alchemist of the Nine Heavens Alliance. Only one pill can be produced every 6 months. Sweating slightly in disbelief, she added. "This type of elixir can permanently enhance your physical constitution, helping your attributes develop at an extraordinary rate." Immediately, the system notified him that he had stabilized at level 1 initiate realm, with strength, agility, and spirit stats all reaching 120 points. Yichuan was overjoyed to realize that all his attributes had increased by 20 points, thinking, "This thing is incredible." The surprises didn't end there as he proceeded to open the skill scroll Jiang Shiyan had given him. His entire body radiated a brilliant golden light accompanied by a rumbling sound. The system quickly informed him, "You have received the Hiter passive skill, Golden Bell Shield. It can be maintained in a normal state to resist one fatal blow. After being broken, it cannot be reactivated for 12 hours, as golden runes began to manifest clearly on Yichuan's body." The system confirmed once more, skill, Golden Bell Shield has been officially unlocked. Witnessing the completion of the absorption process, Jiang Shiyan crossed her arms and explained. "Since your golden scale soft armor was destroyed in the last battle, consider this compensation from the Nine Heavens Alliance." Receiving these new skills and powers, Yichuan's eyes rounded in surprise. "Jiang Shiyan is being way too generous with me. I don't know how I can ever repay her." She ran a hand through her hair and tilted her head slightly. "Using the Firewind Fox Ape hide to craft fire-resistant armor will take about a month. After that time, you must follow us to conquer the Liehua Blade King." Being a cautious person, Yichuan scratched his head and asked Jiang Shiyan, "If the whole group goes on a conquest like that, what is our probability of success?" She maintained an indifferent attitude but answered honestly, "The win rate is less than 10%. Hearing that, Yichuan gasped in horror. "That's no different from a suicide mission." He then wondered aloud why a high miss of the Nine Heavens Alliance like her would personally take such a risk. Faced with a question that touched her inner wounds, Jiang Shiyan dropped her indifferent facade. She closed her eyes sadly and explained, "It is precisely because of my status as the young miss that I must act personally to prove myself, rather than living forever in my father's shadow. I don't want my life to be bound hand and foot. If I cannot achieve this, I would rather be dead." In that moment, Jiang Shiyan suddenly recalled a childhood memory of hearing two women gossiping outside her room. A man as talented as the clan leader, yet he only sired a dull daughter who brings shame to the family name. On the other side, Yi Chuan also remembered how Jiao Wan had once gritted his teeth and snarled that he couldn't stand her unconventional way of doing things. He glanced at her with sympathy in his heart, silently understanding, in a place where so many experts gather, even the High Miss cannot avoid the skepticism of others. Seeing Yi Chuan lost in thought for so long, Jiang Shiyan looked worried and asked, "Are you feeling afraid?" Yi Chuan scratched his head and gave a blunt, smiling reply. "My parents taught me that if I make a promise to someone, I must see it through to the end." Touched by his answer, Jiang Shiyan's eyes turned dreamy. She praised him for being a good boy, and abruptly cried, "Are you still a virgin?" The situation took an even more ironic turn when she suddenly pulled Yi Chuan into a tight embrace, suggesting, "Since we both might die in the next battle, if you have any lingering regrets, I will satisfy them all for you." Her words scared Yi Chuan out of his wits, and he waved his hands frantically in protest. Regaining his cold composure, he pushed her aside and stepped onto the shore, declaring firmly, "I cannot die there, for I have more important matters yet to finish." Brutally rejected, Jiang Shiyan sat in the pool, only able to cover her chest with a look of utter existential crisis. Meanwhile, Yi Chuan headed straight for the door and opened it to leave. As soon as he opened the door, he ran into Qianli, whose face was frozen in a look of being caught red-handed eavesdropping. By then, Jiang Shiyan had managed to throw on her robe and step out. She asked curiously, "Qianli, what are you doing here?" He could only laugh loudly and scratch his head in a lame excuse. "I just came here to treat my wounds. I didn't realize you two were inside, so I was just about to leave." However, as he turned his back, Yi Chuan called him back because he had a favor to ask. Qianli's jaw dropped when he heard Yi Chuan's request. "I want you to be my combat sparring partner." With that, the two of them left together. As they walked, Qianli remarked boisterously, "I didn't expect you to come to me for training. I understand your eagerness to grow stronger, but due to the gap in our realms, you might have to endure a lot of hardship." Watching their departing figures, Jiang Shiyan muttered with great satisfaction, "This time, I've truly bet on a young man with limitless potential." Some time later, at the training ground in the West Tower, the atmosphere became more serious than ever. Yi Chuan stood opposite Qianli, who was now holding his axe. With a gaze full of determination, Yi Chuan whispered to himself, "Only by becoming stronger can I see my parents again. Please endure a little longer, for I will come for you soon." Then, Yi Chuan drew his upgraded Dragon Slayer blade and requested, "Qianli, don't hold back." Immediately, the man raised his axe and charged forward, shouting, "I'm starting for real now!" Yi Chuan stood his ground, waiting with an iron-willed determination to become even stronger. 9 days later at the Nine Heavens Alliance, the training atmosphere remained as fervent as the first day. Jiang Shiyan approached the area where the disciples were resting, carrying a food basket. She thought to herself, "These two idiots. Every day, aside from eating and sleeping, they spend every waking moment dueling here." As she walked, she tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear, silently noting that the two looked as if they were possessed. Nonetheless, standing behind the crowd, Jiang Shiyan smiled and whispered, "To be honest, these two always make people feel incredibly reliable." The tension escalated with every strike. On the training ground, the harsh clanging of weapons rang out incessantly. Yi Chuan continuously attacked Qianli, mentally counting his rhythm, 3, 4, 5. Meanwhile, the older man focused on parrying while shouting encouragement. "You need to be faster! Faster!" Yi Chuan suddenly unleashed a strike with his Dragon Slayer blade, reaching the count of 9 in his head. Qianli's eyes widened in alertness as he yelled, "An opening!" He swung his massive axe in a powerful arc, raising it high for a decisive blow. The sheer intensity of the fight had pushed both of them into a point of no return. Suddenly, Yichuan leaped into the air, holding the dragon slayer high above his head with eyes flashing like fire, and roared, "Fallen stars!" At that exact moment, Qian Li's giant axe slammed directly into Yichuan's golden bell shield. The impact left Qian Li stunned, momentarily worried that he might have accidentally killed the boy. Right then, the protective energy around Yichuan shattered under the axe's weight. However, Yichuan did not recoil. Instead, he surged forward even more violently, using monstrous strength to press his opponent. Below him, Qianli was startled, struggling to hold the shaft of his axe horizontally to block Yichuan's thunderous assault. "Is this kid really trying to kill me?" The blade, shrouded in a brilliant golden energy, pressed down relentlessly on the handle of Qianli's axe. The shockwave from the impact was so powerful it sent a tremor through the surroundings, blowing back the hair of the spectators standing nearby. The watching disciples broke into a cold sweat, their mouths agape in awe. "Strong, so strong! These two are absolute monsters!" They were shocked that a newcomer could fight on par with Qianli after only a few days. As the dust slowly settled, the result of the clash was revealed. Qianli remained in a high defensive stance with his axe, while Yichuan had landed a distance away, white smoke billowing in all directions around them. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed from Qianli's axe handle as it snapped into several pieces. Staring at the broken halves in his hands, Qianli threw his head back and yelled, "You brat! That's it, no more fighting! You're going to have to pay for a new weapon!" Yichuan, who had fought so hard he'd lost his shirt, stood shirtless scratching his head, explaining to Qianli, "Sorry, uncle, but I don't have a penny to my name right now, so I can't pay for it." Just then, Jiang Shiyan waved at them from afar. "Stop fighting, you two! Come and eat!" She carried the lunchbox through the crowd of onlookers. Qianli was still reeling, thinking about how his spiritual weapon, renowned for its extreme durability, had just been shattered. This boy's power is truly terrifying. While Qianli was lost in thought, Yichuan was already focused on his lunch. Yichuan sheathed his dragon slayer and curiously asked Jiang Shiyan what delicious food she had brought today. Simultaneously, the system began to display his updated stats. Status update, rank, level 3 initiate realm, strength, 140, agility, 140, spirit, 140, skill upgrades, fallen stars, level 2 passive, every 8th swing, the 9th strike deals 220% damage. Higher levels increase crit damage and reduce the required hit count. Shadow stealth, level 3 enhances agility by 50% for 70 seconds. Blood Shadow Butcher, reach level 3. Witnessing Yichuan's nonchalance, Qianli could only lament the fate of his weapon. He walked over to Jiang Shiyan with a dejected look, complaining, "Just by sparring with this kid, I've managed to destroy a high-tier spiritual weapon. I don't know how we're going to settle this." Jiang Shiyan simply waved her hand and said with a cheerful smile, All right. Later, I'll take you to the spiritual armory to pick out a new weapon that suits you. For now, both of you just eat your lunch." A moment later, both Yichuan and Qianli stared wide-eyed and gasped in awe at the incredibly lavish spread of food. Watching the two of them dig in voraciously, Jiang Shiyan noted to herself, "It's clear he's grown much stronger again. Perhaps there truly is hope for this conquest after all." While gnawing on a chicken drumstick, Yichuan announced some important news through a mouthful of food. "Tomorrow, I need to leave for a while." This news caught everyone present by surprise and concern. As soon as the words were spoken, Qianli immediately spun around with a suspicious look, while Jiang Shiyan broke into a sweat and asked where he was going. Because he was eating too fast, Yichuan started to choke and hurriedly thumped his chest. After finally swallowing the food, he let out a breath and explained, "Don't worry, everyone. I just promised the principal that I'd return to participate in a competition. I'll be back in a few days." Despite the explanation, Qianli's fondness for Yichuan made him reluctant to let him go. Qianli grabbed Yichuan's hand. "Little brother Yichuan, the more we spar, the more I like you. Don't go, we can continue our training tomorrow. He had barely finished speaking when a crisp thwack rang out. After giving Qianli a sharp knock on the head, Jiang Shiyan scolded him angrily. Stop acting like a fool and don't make things difficult for Yi Chuan. A temporary parting is inevitable so he can fulfill his promise. Then she stepped forward, placed a hand on Yi Chuan's shoulder, and advised, travel safely. Don't get hurt. Everyone will be waiting for your return. The next day, Jiang Shiyan and Qianli went all the way to the gate to wave goodbye to Yi Chuan. Watching his figure gradually fade into the distance, Qianli expressed his concern. I truly like and acknowledge this kid's strength, but I wonder. If we take him to that place, what will happen? Jiang Shiyan kept her eyes fixed on the horizon and replied, if we can return alive from the burning Heaven Valley, it will prove that his strength is sufficient to go there. Time flew by, and the scene shifted back to a bustling school. The school gates were teeming with noise and excitement. Yi Chuan stood by a pillar, watching his classmates gathered in small groups chatting. Suddenly, a female student cried out in surprise, signaling someone's arrival. A girl with a legendary tier combat profession walked in with an air of arrogance. The crowd buzzed, confirming that Su Ling Xian had appeared. Suddenly, her eyes flickered to the side with a look of suspicion. Yi Chuan's presence here was clearly not expected by certain people. Looking at the young man crouching in a corner, Su Ling Xian thought to herself, Yi Chuan. She crossed her arms, her face showing clear disdain as she wondered darkly, why is he even here? Suddenly, the girl who always followed Su Ling Xian called out, Yi Chuan! She pointed a finger at his face and scolded loudly. What are you doing running back here? Are you trying to pull another stunt just to get close to Su Ling Xian? The response to this provocation was swift and fierce. Suddenly, a fist slammed powerfully into the wall, causing cracks to spiderweb across the surface. After landing the punch, Yi Chuan glared at her and barked a single word. Beat it! This action terrified the girl so much that she hurriedly backed away. To save face, she turned to follow Su Ling Xian, muttering, that was just a ridiculous, showy act. This is the end of the video. Catch the next chapters on the Kapper-sama YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe to support me. Thank you all very much.